Hello everybody, it's Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again today with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault. And today is going to be something, as I say many times, different. This is probably more different than many of the other things we've talked about. What I'm doing is responding to some comments and direct messages that we received here at the channel asking about the dwarves, and specifically the female dwarf. So today we're going to talk to you about the Dwarvess. That's right, the Dwarvess. As giants and giantess, there are dwarves and dwarvesses. And the Dwarvess is the female of the species. So, what can I tell you about the Dwarvess? Well, it's gonna be somewhat circumspect after talking about it with some of my female brethren. The Dwarvesses have decided that I'm only allowed to speak in a somewhat limited fashion, especially if I want to enjoy any of the conjugal benefits that go along with being a dwarf. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I can about Dwarvesses. Now, the Dwarvess is really, in many ways, very, very similar to the dwarf. No different than a human female is very similar to a human male. Now, some of the differences are not plainly visible, and that has led to a great deal of confusion about what makes up a female dwarf. I have to go into a very brief explanation that this is the dwarves in this multiverse and are not 100% aligned with some of the details that you've read about either in the game Dungeons and Dragons or in famous fantasy literature such as the Tolkien Lord of the Rings series. But this is what we Hornhelms deal with. So as I said, the female and the male dwarf don't have a lot of outward physical differences that you as humans can see. Now, I can tell you with great assurance that the female dwarf does indeed have lady bumps, as you humans refer to them, and has all the requisite features and plumbing that a female human would have. But with a dwarf, there's more. One of the most important things to understand about dwarves is that everything's in the beard. The beard has ways of being affected and communicating with our potential love matches. This even gets expanded upon during the, I have to be really careful here, the physical act of love. And it is something that is unique to the Dwarven species. And the Dwarvess is extremely attractive to us Dwarven males. Extremely attractive. And a lot of it has to do with things that you as humans will never see. The love language of the beards of the dwarves and the associated physical interactions are not things that are shown to people outside the dwarven race. So you're never going to see that part. It is something that's very unique to us, and it helps to make for very unique relationships. Now, I can explain some other things to you. First off, if you're looking at illustrations of dwarven males or females, we don't have pointed ears. So that's pretty easy to tell right here. We use that as a distinguishing factor between us and others who at times would try to impersonate a dwarf, and then we don't have pointy ears. Once the physical act of love has been consummated and is rewarded, shall we say, with a dwarven child. The gestation period for the dwarven child is indeed 9 years. That's a very long time to carry a child. Like the new clock. It's awesome. In any case, this gestation period means for a very long and arduous process for our dwarvess. And the dwarvess is not particularly happy with that part of it. So, in general, dwarven children are very rare. And most dwarven females, the dwarvess, will generally only have 2 to 3 children over her life at most. And many choose to have 1 or none. This is one of the reasons why the dwarven race does not grow and often struggles to maintain its numbers, is that any damage that we take in battle or natural disaster is multiplied by the impact it has on our ability to create future generations of wonderful dwarves. So the dwarvess is a very private person, and all child rearing and actions that are associated with female dwarves are kept hidden from the eyes of non-dwarven creatures, period. So it's something that I can't go into a great deal of detail about, but at least you understand now that there are dwarven females. Yes, they have beards, just like we do. Now, instantly for a dwarven male, we can tell the difference whether they're male or female. Humans, not so much. They have a difficult time. Same with elves, though they're a little bit more perceptive than humans, hard to believe. And other races also have difficulties making that determination, except for gnomes, because they're close friends to us dwarves. But in all aspects of dwarven life, dwarven females do it all. They are competent fighters, they work hard in the forges, they work hard in the mines, and some of them choose to be involved in child rearing and shall we say, dwarven community. There is no judgment on that within the dwarven community. Everyone, every adult dwarf has freedom of choice. And we are very encouraging of all sexes to join into all endeavors that the dwarven community seeks to do for its own behalf or on behalf of the community in general. So, I don't know. I know it sounds like a big mystery. I mean, in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the initial dwarf entries did not describe anything having to do with female dwarves, which left an awful lot of conjecture, which you see fleshed out in fantasy literature, fantasy films, and entertainment. The dwarf's gone all over the place. We know what the real truth is, and there's more details, and maybe we'll share some of those about us in general as time goes on. But right now, I wanted to answer the questions about the dwarvess. And really, we can give you our experience. You can draw whatever you want from fantasy and from the lore of games that launch the dwarves into more common usage. One thing I can tell you, we're not the butt to every joke. That's for sure. Boy, I get tired of seeing that part. But as dwarves, we're tolerant for now. In any case, I hope you found that interesting and informational and educational or whatever. And if you did, well, please give us a like. Consider subscribing. Come back and see us again real soon. And remember, dwarves rock!